level by 1%. So if you've got 7.1 and you can reduce that down to 6.1, you will have reduced your chances of cataracts. So you reduce your chance of cataracts by 19%. You reduce your chances of heart failure by 16%, and you reduce your chances of amputation or death by 43%. So that's just bringing it down 1%. And that's basically because someone who's normal, a normal everyday person, has a A1C level of 6%. And then someone who's pre-diabetic, who's borderline, so you're going to the doctors, you're feeling tired and thirsty all the time, and the doctor checks it, and you'd probably have a sugar level of an A1C of about 6 to 6.4%. And that means you're pre-diabetic. But if you change your diet, do some exercise, we could probably bring you back down to 6, no problems. And then there's the diabetes. People who have diabetes like type 1 or type 2, they are 6.5% or higher. So when I had my A1Cs checked after going onto my vegan lifestyle, and the crunch came and we had to see, well, what's it doing? You've completely changed from the recommended diet. You're eating this vegan diet, you're eating lots of carbohydrates, and as the doctors, well, your A1Cs are going to be through the roof. You've got far too much carbohydrate in your system. They tested my A1Cs and my results were 5.8. I was actually below normal. So 6% is a normal person, 5.8 is what I've got. So the first thing they did was test me again. Because you can't do that. You can't just change your lifestyle and get rid of diabetes. But they tested me again, still 5.8. So it's an ongoing thing. So now the doctor loves it, because now he doesn't have to check me for diabetes and things anymore. Now he can actually be a real doctor. And diabetes is not a complication. So before you'd get fobbed off with, I've got these strange pains in my arm. Oh, that's the diabetes. Lose weight, exercise more. Next patient. So now I've got these strange pains in my hand. Oh, well, it's not the diabetes because you're a 5.8. You're healthier than I am. The pains must be arthritis. Maybe we sprained it lightly. They can actually start investigating other things. So that was my findings with veganism. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, there's a Dr. Bernard did an approach. He's also he's a cardiovascular specialist, and his patients were also getting diabetes and heart disease, and he wanted to find a way of curing them, and he found the same thing as well, that the low carbohydrate, high fat diet that they were putting their patients on wasn't curing them. They were in fact getting more patients. So he tried a short study with his patients. He got 22 patients, put them on a vegan diet, and then checked them afterwards to see how they were doing. And he had similar results. Many of his type 2 diabetics had reversed their diabetes, gotten back down to a normal level, could be taken off their insulin because they were type 2, so their body still produced some insulin, but they brought everything back down to normal. And when he asked his patients, what's it like on the vegan diet, they go, it's fantastic. I can eat everything that I want. I'm always full. I fill up on leafy vegetables. They missed the cheese and things like that. But, healthy lifestyle compared to having a cheese sandwich, it's an easy trade-off. So he's actually documented that. So it's not just me finding this out and a few anecdotal evidence. It's now actually up on medical records in the Lancet Journal, places like that actually a vegan diet helps you when you've got chronic disease, when you've got heart problems, diabetes, and the World Health Organization has now actually put it up there as a whole food, plant-based diet is the best diet that you can go on, and then the rest of them fall down underneath that. So a lot of people want to go, all right, I want to become vegan. I've got a chronic disease. I want to do the best I can. So they say, all right, I'll get rid of all the animal products. They try that. They feel tired, lethargic. They go, oh, this is a stupid idea. Bring all the animal products back. So if you want to become vegan, you actually have to do it in little steps. So the first thing, of course, you want to do is avoid animal products. So animal products are full of saturated fats, and that's not good. We're trying to avoid the saturated fats. The next thing you want to do is avoid vegetable oils, another high-fat food. So this is a little different. This is where it gets a little bit grey, because when I'm talking about vegetable oils, I'm talking about the processed vegetable oils, which are a little different to the oils that naturally occur in the foods. So what happens is you take like sesame seed oil, which sesame seeds are very good for you, and they've got lots of vitamins, and it's great to have that sort of oil. It's got good oils in it that make you go good, and you think, oh well, if one sesame seed is good, a little tablespoon of sesame seed oil every day should be great. The problem is, if you ate just sesame seeds and you sprinkle a teaspoon of sesame seeds over your food, you're going to get about under 100 sesame seeds being sprinkled over it. Right? If you take a teaspoon of sesame seed oil and you sprinkle that over your food to give it that nice sesame flavour, you're eating about 5,000 sesame seeds. You would not normally get up and eat 5,000 sesame seeds. See, so what's happening is you're flooding your body with this concentrated food. So your body's going, oh yeah, this is great, but it's just that little bit too much and it doesn't know what to do with it all. So you're overloading your system with this saturated oil. So good oils are good. Natural ones occurring in the products themselves, concentrating it down the way we do in the Western world, where we go, oh, this is great, let's extract that little bit out of it, concentrate it down and sell it in little bottles. That's the bad bit. So if you get the sesame seeds and you eat them whole, fantastic, great source of oil. Same with avocados. They're a brilliant source of saturated oils that you need for cholesterol production, and that the good oils that doctors are always talking about. And the same with coconut. Whole coconuts are great. So getting that fresh meat from the coconut rather than processing it down into a powder or into a jar of oil, just getting a real coconut and eating that's really good for you. So,
when you don't use oil, so you have different types of oils.
yeah.
But you also have oils, cold press and warm press. But when you, for example, want to bake something, how do you do that?
Yeah, it seems a little bit odd, but you don't actually need the oils to bake the bread, unless you're cooking gluten-free. Then you need the oil to take the place of the gluten. But if you're using regular flours, like spelt flour and just wheat flour.
For example, when I want to bake my tempeh.
Yep.
I can't do it.
Yeah, well, we bake, I do a really nice baked tofu with crispy peanut butter over the top in the oven. Comes out great, no oil. I actually put it just on I put it actually on onion rings. So I get some onion rings, put it on top. So yeah, so the heat gets underneath, it doesn't stick to the pan. So you have to start thinking sideways. You don't need to add oil, and it's really good because the flavours of the food come out. Then instead of getting the flavour of the olive oil that you've poured into the pan to cook your tofu, you're getting the flavour of the tofu that you've put into the pan. Plus the added benefit of having roasted onion rings. That tastes really great too. Yeah. So it seems a little bit weird at first, but you can actually cook without oil. We do a stir fry often stir fry the vegetables with no oil. You just pour a little bit of water into the stir fry pan. Use a non-stick stir fry pan. A little bit of water, and that's enough. The vegetables just saute themselves in that, and onion sautés really nicely, just on its own. It doesn't need the butter and everything on top of it. I've actually written the book that I've written has a cooking recipes in the back, because everyone's like that. Well, how do I cook without oil? Even the vegan restaurant that I went to, where I said the chef was so interested, his main fascination was, he goes, I use oil in everything. How on earth do you cook without oils? Yeah.
But the other one is baking paper.
Baking paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's completely non-stick. So you can take a baking pan and put baking paper in that and put anything on it and it won't stick. Put your tempeh on that. It works really well. Yep. No, no oil.
Yeah, just cooking completely without oil, using things like baking paper, non-stick pans, a little bit of water to deglaze the pan, things like that. Yeah.
So I use quite a bit of oil in her food to try and get some concentrated fats and energy there. Would that be harmful, do you think?
It depends. Like for me, it would be. Even the smallest amount of fat will block up my insulin receptors and everything falls to pieces. For a lot of people, they can still absorb. The oil is a very high nutrient source. Like I said, it's like you're getting 5,000 sesame seeds in every teaspoon. But probably what I would say is more fruits. Fruits are a great instant energy source for kids. And you need to balance everything. So you need, as I said, the legumes. So you need some legumes in the diet. You need fruit, lots of fruit in the diet to give you the instant energy. And then you need the multigrain to give you, the grains give you the long-term energy. Like I said, like the marathon runners and that. They eat lots of rice and that. So I basically stick with coconut, which is a fruit, and brown rice. And that's an incredible combination for just giving you sustained energy. So yeah, you want... Pardon?
Coconut, what kind of coconut? Just the nut or the oil or what?
The flesh.
Flesh.
The flesh, the coconut flesh. So you go to the store, you get the coconut, and they're surprisingly easy to crack open. You can go onto the YouTube, you basically soak the nut in water. That softens it up. Then you get, and you'll see when you get a coconut, there are little lines on the coconut. So you hold the lines so they're running across. You get the back of like a cleaver or a French chef's knife, and you whack it perpendicular to those lines. And you just keep doing it, like you were trying to break open an egg. And you just keep tapping it around there very firmly. And after a while, you'll start to hear the nut cracks along that little line that you're making.
And the water stays inside.
Yeah, well, I usually do this over a bowl. So, so that when the water rushes out, it goes into the bowl. Because the water is very nice. Fresh coconut water tastes completely different to the stuff that you get in the little Tetra bricks. And that fresh coconut juice is very nice, has all the electrolytes you need. And at one point, I think during the Vietnam War or similar, they ran out of IV solution, so they used coconut water as a substitute. Now, it's not a great substitute, but when you have nothing else, coconut water does make it a good electrolyte substitute. But I wouldn't recommend it as a regular medical treatment. But yeah, if you're under war conditions and you have no other source of IV, it'll work. Oh, and the other thing you also need to do is high fibre when you're on your vegan diet. Lots of high fibre. So that occurs naturally in most foods. So when people say, oh, you can't eat fruit because it's high in sugar, the fruit also comes with a lot of fibre. So yeah, fruit juice, where we've concentrated it down again, so you get 10 oranges juiced up into a glass of orange juice. Yeah, that's not that great for you. That's way too much sugar in there and no fibre. The fruits themselves come with everything that you need. So the fruit comes with vitamin C when you eat it. It's got lots of fibre in when you need it. It's got lots of soluble fibre and insoluble fibre, and potassium, all sorts of other things. Minerals are in these little packets. So high fibre is great, and it reduces your chances of colon cancer and other things. But don't do it all at once. Build yourself. If you haven't had a high fibre diet, do not go completely high fibre. Yeah, this is the thing that most people complain about. I went vegan and I just spent the rest of the day farting. It's and it puts them off. It's very antisocial, this vegan diet. Usually that's because you've gone too quickly and your body is trying to process everything.
What's about smoothies?
Pardon?
Smoothies.
Smoothies? Yeah, when you've got the whole fruit, that's okay. Yeah, it's when they press it, and then they're throwing the pulp away and they're giving you the juice. They're throwing all the good stuff away. And what do we do with the pulp that we throw away? We feed it to our animals. So you've got to think about this. The animals are vegan. They're doing really, really well. And we're drinking the juice and we're putting on weight. And the horse is eating the leftover molasses and that, and he's doing great. So you want that whole pulpy thing. You want the whole lot. Oh, and with beans. Now everyone complains about that because I was talking about legumes. And there is a whole little philosophy about beans. And most people say, oh, well, if I start eating all these legumes, I get lots of wind, very gassy, I bloat up. Again, you've got to do it in small amounts. So the smaller beans, the little ones, are easier to digest than the big kidney beans that we're all familiar with. So if you do want to go over to getting the legumes into your diet, go for the little ones first. They're easier to cook, they're quicker, and they produce a lot less bloating. Once you get used to it, your body's used to this high fibre, healthy diet, then you can start getting into the more exotic beans, and there are thousands of them. And the other thing is that the tinned beans are not quite the same as the fresh ones. There is a technique. You've got to soak a lot of these foods first. So when you get your nuts and your pumpkin seeds, which are a great source of protein, that's another one. So you could try feeding your daughter pumpkin seeds. She's okay with that. They're great, especially roasted pumpkin seeds. They're really nice. She'll probably like the coconut, shredded coconut too. Most kids love it. It's like that ice cream frosting that you put on things. You have to activate nuts and seeds, and that first by soaking them in some water. They're the same with the legumes. This, like I said with the coconut, it softens the shells around them, makes them easier to digest. And the same with things like groats. Groats are the original form of the oat. You get rolled oats, and a lot of doctors will say you shouldn't eat rolled oats and things like that. They've got lots of stuff in them, they're not that great. But the groats they've got the little endosperm, they've got the shell around them still, so they're full of fibre. They've got all the healthy stuff. The drawback is the groats need to be soaked for ages before you cook them. Right? So we're trying like overnight soaking for something like a groat, or at least several hours of soaking. And that'll reduce the cooking time. Once you've soaked your groats for a long period of time, you can cook them in about 15 minutes. Okay. So, yeah.